I'm Deb Varn, and I am here with Steven Whitsitt to talk about my new song that's coming out June the 5th, rather. It's called Forgetting to Remember. And it was inspired by a conversation that I had with Steven Whitsitt at the Taylor Boys show in December. And I'm just so grateful for our friendship. And, you know, as much as I love playing the Taylor Boys show, I look forward to our conversations just as much.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And so the one thing that I confessed to you earlier is that I actually had an agenda in telling you this story. So, and the genesis of it is that a couple of years ago, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I knew when we got the diagnosis that the day would come when she wouldn't recognize me, wouldn't know who I was. That's just the nature of that, the progression of that disease. So I anticipated that, and sure enough, that day came. And the story that I told you took place a little bit after that. She was living with my middle sister Sharon, and I was going to go over and visit and surprise Sharon for her birthday, which is December 1st. And so I drove over there to Knoxville, where they're at, and sure enough, when I came in, my mom looked at me, and Sharon was like, "Do you know who this is, Mom?" And she shook her head, and she said, "Well, this is Steven." I said, "I'm your son." She said, "Oh, okay." But every part of our conversation after that, I had to continually remind her. So Sharon had to go and run an errand, and so I did something that I've done a lot with my mom. I sat down with my laptop computer, and I said, "Come on, Mom, sit with me." And I pulled up a folder that had family pictures. And the ones in the beginning were pictures that I had scanned of her when she was a little girl. She'd given me a big, big stack of pictures, and I've got her from when she was an infant all the way through her teenage years to when she met my father and they got married. And so we sat down, and I'd pull up a picture, and she'd go, "Who's that?" "Well, that's you, Mom." "Oh." And I would name every person in her family that came up in the pictures. And then we'd go to the next picture. "Well, who's that?" "That's you again, Mom." And it was profound to me that from picture to picture, she couldn't put together that was the same her in the next picture and all that. And there's something so that's just tragic about that. A person losing a whole lifetime's worth of memories. And so one of the things that I knew was going to happen, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to be received, was that there would be pictures that would come up with my father. Mm-hmm. And in the past, while she still had all of her memories, my parents had gone through a very tumultuous divorce. And whenever she would see a picture of my father, or whenever his name would come up in a conversation, she'd be like, "That SOB." And so this time a picture of my dad came up. She had said, "Who's that?" I said, "Well, that's my father, Paul. He's your husband." "Oh." And she just smiled a little bit. And then a little bit later looking at the pictures, a picture of my younger sister, Shelley, came up. Shelley passed from cancer in 2001. And one of the most difficult things that I've ever witnessed in my life is watching both of my parents lose their youngest child. And so a picture of Shelley came up, and she's like, "Who's that?" "Well, that's your youngest, that's Shelley." And what I didn't do was I didn't speak of either my father or Shelley, though both are past. I didn't speak of them in past tense. Mm-hmm. I only spoke of them in present tense because I didn't want to even give her an inkling of them being gone.
Yes. And
so I said, "That's Shelley. Isn't she beautiful?" "Oh, yeah." And she's such a talented artist because Shelley was an amazing artist. And so I just spoke of Shelley in past tense as if she was just in the other room. And all the pain that my mom had experienced of losing her baby daughter had been gone. Mm. And as I drove away from Knoxville after that visit, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, isn't that profound to, like, this disease that takes away so much, but the little tiny silver lining was that it also took away these two really, really tremendously painful things. So flash forward to later in December, just a few weeks later, I was down in Columbia, here in Columbia, because that's where we're at, and I thought, and I just kind of thought, that's a story that I want to tell to my friend Deb, because you and I, over the years that we've known each other, we connect on being sensitive people, on being artists, and there's just always been this this love between us.
Absolutely.
And so with that agenda.
See, I had no idea about this agenda, by the way.
But I just kind of like had a thought that I'm just going to tell Deb about this, and it was like I set you up to just kick the perfect field goal, or whatever analogy you want to use.
Yeah.
But I told you the story, and you said, "Oh, Steve," what'd you say to me?
I said, that's a song waiting to happen.
And very graciously, you asked permission.
Yes.
And I said, by all means, and my brain is thinking, yeah, that's what I wanted to happen. I'm
on to you now.
But the thing about it that was so sweet was that a few weeks later, my mom was dying. And it was her last weeks on this planet. She passed on January 4th. And when was Taylor Boys this year? The 22nd of
The
December?
20th.
The 20th.
Yeah.
So just a couple weeks later.
Yes.
And you sent me a rough recording that you did with just your acoustic guitar.
Yes.
I think in your living room.
Yes.
That was just you and a vocal, and it was like a chorus. I don't know if you had verses.
I just
yet.
had the chorus at that point, but I wanted to be I was very sensitive about the topic and about your mother and about you and your sisters, and so I really was conscious and very reverent around my approach to sharing this with you. And so I sent you a chorus that had come through I was doing a meditation with my group from Agape, and I had said something to them about wanting to write this song, and during that meditation the chorus came through. And I immediately, as soon as I got off the call, just on like GarageBand app on my computer, recorded the chorus and sent it to you. And so I'm like, oh my God, what is he gonna think? What's he gonna think? Is it gonna be okay? But you
and I shared that with my sisters, and I think that Sharon said, tears are streaming down my face as I listen to this. And what's interesting about it, what's interesting about creativity and art, is that the second I told you the story, I released any preconceived idea of what it had to be, because I trust creativity to flow through you.
Yes.
And so it's one of the things I think that a lot of times we can be really precious about creativity and oh no, it has to be this way or it has to be that way. And it's like, no, it has to be the way that it's meant to be expressed. And that's what I love about the song, because it's not a direct, like, this is exactly the way that Steve told me the story. It's your interpretation of how the story moved you.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it.
Yes.
And that's what I love about just kind of trusting creative processes.
Absolutely. And when I got it, I got the chorus, I sent it to Joe, because writing the music part is not necessarily my strength. So I was hoping that he would come up with the music for the verses. So a week went by, and he's a busy man, so he didn't have time to get to it. But then you text me to say that your mother had passed. Stephen, the moment I got that text, I went in my room where I write. And I got real quiet. I cleared my mind. And I said, Miss Sally, what is it you want to say? And so that's where the verses came through, and you know, that, you know, my son scanned every photograph that he took through the years. Some I don't remember and some are crystal clear. I should probably hate you for what we went through, but all I could do is smile. And so what I took from that is like you said, there's this spot where you lose the painful part, you know, and that really, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes on the planet, you know, and we all have something to forgive. And so I felt like your mother, from my interaction with her, asking her to help me with this, she forgot the past so that she could see him for the truth of who he was. And that's what we get to do. It doesn't take dementia to get where Sally was, to the space where you let go of the past. That, you know, it's just something that happens. We don't understand it. But, you know, nobody's perfect in this life that we all get to live. We all got something to forgive. And so it took forgetting to remember the truth of who you are. And so it came to the second part of that chorus, and I lived the second part of that chorus where it says, you know, forgive me for the pain I caused and all the time we lost. It took forgetting to remember it all. And I'm just so glad that we, you know, even if we close our hearts temporarily, there becomes a moment when we wake up and we realize, look, everybody's doing the best they can. You know, I might need you to do better, but we're all doing the best that we can. And I sent it to Joe, you know, because he's my producer, and he immediately called me back and said, look, this is the best song you have ever written, which meant the world to me, because I ended up, because I meant, you know, and because I'm sitting there and I had to write the verse, which I wasn't really comfortable, because I wanted it to be what the right thing for your family, for your mother, for your sisters, for you. I was just so respectful of that. And so I wanted to make sure that it was as good as it could possibly be. And as it turned out, I was the one that was going to write the whole thing.
Well, it's beautiful. There's one other little thing I wanted to touch on, and that was how sweet it was in the process when you asked me about the pictures, because I had, as my mom was dying, there were moments, and I'm a visual person, I'm a photographer, I'm capturing things, and Sharon had a little pewter angel that had belonged to my sister Shelley, and Shelley had it with her when she passed, and Sharon took that angel and put it in my mom's hand, and she held on to it for a few hours. But at one point, I'm holding my mom's hand. Actually, I think I'm holding it with this hand, and I'm holding my mom's hand, and it's like my hand and then her hand inside of mine, and then the angel there, and that sort of brought it full circle to my sister Shelley as well. So it's like even though Shelley couldn't be there with us, my oldest sister Susan was there, I was there, my sister Sharon was there, and with that little pewter angel, Shelley was there with us as well.
Oh.
And that's the picture that you chose and wanted to use for the single cover.
Yes.
And I am just beyond thrilled that obviously when I was taking a picture, I didn't think, oh, this is an album cover or a single cover.
Yeah.
I don't think like that. I just see things and it's like, no, that I have to capture. That.
And hopefully Max will be able to insert that photograph as a part of this interview so that people can see it's an amazing shot. And that's something I love about you, Steven. You're such an intuitive photographer that you know exactly, you know, it's like me. I recognize a story waiting to be told, ready to be told, and you see a picture waiting to be taken and captured that memory. And I know so many people have been impacted by these diseases. Hopefully they'll be able to find some hope.
Well, and that's actually part of your thought about releasing it in June, because
that was coincidental that we picked the release date, and then I found out it was Alzheimer's and Dementia Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wow, talk about synchronicities. I thought that was really cool. And then Alzheimer's Day is September 21st, which is my birthday.
Oh, okay.
So all of this is coming together. So we're going to release the single June the 5th. And we just hope that people are healed by it. And because it was healing for me in writing it. And I just want to say thank you.
Well,
Because there was a lot of forgiveness work that I had to do. Because when you write about forgiveness and you sing about forgiveness, it's time to take a little look and see, is there anybody else that I have not forgiven or that I need to make amends with,
Well, and I wanted to say on behalf of my family, thank you for picking up that seed and making it into something that is beautiful. And it's interesting, as a photographer, there's work that I have that will live on after I'm gone, but there's something about a song that is just so, it's transcendental. It will just go on, and people put meaning into songs based on their lives and their experiences.
Yes.
And that's kind of the letting go that I talked about. The second that it's out in the world, then it's for everybody to interpret.
Yes.
And that's what's really exciting about this.
Well, words for me have heat on.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you shared that story with me, it was like, oh my God. So, and I was very nervous about writing it.
Well,
because I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too.
My son scanned every photograph he took through the years. Some I don't remember, some are crystal clear. I should probably hate you for all we went through, but all I can do is smile. It took forgetting to remember the truth of who you were. I wish I had known better than to close my heart. So forgive me for the pain I caused and all the time we lost. It took forgetting to remember it all. So there's a little taste of Forgetting to Remember, produced by Joe Taylor at Moonwatcher Records down in Bennett's Point, South Carolina. I don't know what I would do. Joe Taylor is my, I always say he's my Lindsey Buckingham. He takes my songs and just kicks them up to another level, like Lindsey used to do for Stevie.
And written and sung beautifully by Deb Varn.
Thank you. And I'm just so grateful that you entrusted me with this story. And, I've played it for people, solo acoustic, since January, since it was written. And I can't tell you how many people are moved by it and even said that they were healed and it helped them through their own experience with this. So I can't thank you enough. And I am honored to be your friend and that you entrusted me with this.
The feeling is mutual. You're just a lovely, lovely person.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so look for the single. It's coming out soon. And I look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas on June the 14th. Looking forward to that at Unity Church of the Hills in Austin, Texas. So I'm looking forward to hitting the road. Me and Leo will be rolling down I-10 soon.
Great.
All right, thank you all for being with us.